The world is not fair, and the sooner you accept this brutal truth, the sooner you can stop being its victim. Right now, as you listen, someone with less intelligence than you is commanding more respect. Someone weaker than you is wielding more influence. And someone with fewer skills than you is living the life you want simply because they understand the dark psychology of human nature. You were raised to play fair while others were breaking the rules. You were told to be nice while others were being strategic. You were conditioned to wait for respect while others were taking it. The game is rigged against those who believe fairness exists, against those who think good intentions matter more than psychological dominance. And history proves it. 500 years ago, Niccolò Machiavelli decoded the real mechanics of power, showing why good men finish last while ruthless strategists rise to rule. In this video, I will reveal 8 of Machiavelli's darkest lessons, principles so sharp they cut through illusions and force you to see the hidden game for what it truly is. But be warned, once you learn them, you can never return to your old life. Once you see the matrix of human psychology, you can never unsee it. This is Psyvoria, the channel where illusions are shattered and truth is weaponized. If you are ready to stop being ignored and start becoming untouchable, subscribe now, because what follows will change the way you see every interaction for the rest of your life. Fairness is a trap, and it has been used to keep you compliant your entire life. You were taught that if you play nice, respect others, and wait patiently, you will eventually get what you deserve. But the truth is brutal. Those who play fair often get ignored, while those who bend and break the rules get ahead. Think about it. How many times have you given respect to someone who gave you none back? How many times have you waited for your turn, only to watch someone else cut in line and walk away with the reward? This is not bad luck, it is programming. You were conditioned to believe fairness was noble, when in reality, it was designed to make you predictable and easy to exploit. Machiavelli warned that men should either be treated generously or destroyed, because small wounds invite revenge while decisive actions and resistance. What does this mean for you? It means stop giving weak pushback. Stop trying to negotiate with people who only understand strength. Being fair with the unfair does not make you virtuous, it makes you prey. The only way forward is to be strategic, to make it more rewarding for others to respect you than to disrespect you, and to make the cost of crossing you outweigh any benefit they might gain. Fairness is an illusion, but power is real. And until you understand that, you will always be at the mercy of those who do. Most people think ruthlessness means being cruel, reckless, or explosive with anger, but that is completely wrong. True ruthlessness is not about losing control. It is about mastering control. It is emotional discipline so sharp that no one can pull you out of balance. A ruthless man does not scream, he calculates. He does not react in the heat of the moment. He responds with cold precision. Imagine someone tries to embarrass you in front of others. The weak man gets defensive, argues, or tries to explain himself. And in doing so, he hands his power away. The ruthless man feels the sting too, but instead of reacting emotionally, he pauses, analyzes, and makes a single move that elevates him and diminishes his attacker. He might stay silent and let the other look like a fool, or he might deliver one precise correction that shuts the entire room down. Machiavelli understood this principle well when he advised that injuries should be dealt with all at once, in a way that leaves no room for counterattack. Emotional outbursts create ongoing drama, but decisive, disciplined responses end conflicts in your favor. This is why those who control their emotions control the room. People fear the man who cannot be provoked, who does not reveal his triggers, who acts only on strategy rather than impulse. When others know they cannot shake you, they stop trying, and that silent respect becomes your greatest advantage. Most people are trapped in the illusion that being liked is the key to influence. But Machiavelli showed us that respect always outweighs likability. When you chase likability, you make yourself safe, predictable, and easy to use, because people know you will forgive, you will bend, and you will tolerate disrespect. But when you establish psychological dominance, when others know that crossing you has real consequences, the entire dynamic shifts. A likable man says yes when he wants to say no, hoping not to upset anyone. A dominant man says no without guilt and watches as others adjust to his decision. A likable man explains and justifies himself to earn approval, while a dominant man makes decisions and expects them to be respected. Machiavelli wrote that it is far safer to be feared than loved, and the truth behind this is simple. Fear builds boundaries that protect your power, while love without respect leaves you exposed. This does not mean you become a tyrant. It means you cultivate a presence that demands caution, a reputation that makes people think twice before crossing you. Likable people get forgotten, dominant people get remembered because they're not just pleasant, they are formidable. And in any arena of life, it is not the man who is liked by everyone who wins. It is the man who commands respect even from his rivals. Decisive action is what separates the weak from the powerful. And Machiavelli was relentless in showing that hesitation is the death of influence. Most people destroy their authority because they threaten without follow-through. They warn without consequence. And in doing so, they train everyone around them to ignore them. They think repeating themselves will make their words stronger, but in truth, it only makes them weaker. Psychological dominance works differently. You do not waste energy on endless arguments or repeated warnings. You wait, you watch, and when you act once with such decisiveness that the message is permanent. Machiavelli wrote that if an injury must be inflicted, it should be so severe that vengeance is not feared. Translated into modern terms, this means that your moves must be final, not debatable. Imagine someone disrespects you consistently. The weak response is to plead or nag them to change. The dominant response is to deliver one decisive move that makes it clear disrespect carries a cost, whether that is exclusion, exposure, or an action that shifts the balance of power in your favor. This is why decisive people appear larger than life. They do not waste time in skirmishes. They win wars with single blows. Authority is not built on noise. It is built on the memory of your decisive actions. People stop testing you not because you speak louder, but because they remember the last time they did, and they know better than to try again. Perception management is reality control, and Machiavelli understood this better than anyone. He observed that everyone sees what you appear to be, but few experience what you really are. In other words, for most people, your image is your truth. This is why so many talented men go unnoticed while weaker minds rise to power. It is not reality that commands respect, it is perception. People do not have the time or interest to study your character. They make snap judgments from posture, tone, confidence, and the stories they hear about you. If you do not actively shape those impressions, someone else will, and not in your favor. This is not about being fake. It is about being strategic with what you reveal. If you walk into a room with slouched shoulders and hesitant words, no one will care about your brilliance. But if you carry yourself with presence, controlled silence, and intentional words, people will assume strength even before you prove it. Influence belongs to the man who crafts his image deliberately, not to the man who assumes his work will speak for itself. In the brutal game of power, reality bends to the way people perceive you, which means your greatest weapon is not what you know, but how convincingly you appear to embody it. Control the frame, and you control the story, and once you control the story, you control the world around you. Narrative control is psychological warfare, because the facts of a situation rarely matter as much as the story told about it. Two men can perform the same action, but one is framed as confident while the other is framed as arrogant. One is seen as a leader while the other is condemned as selfish. The difference is not in reality, but in perception, and the one who shapes the narrative shapes the outcome. Machiavelli knew this, which is why he wrote that men in general judge more from appearances than from reality. Whoever tells the story first, and with conviction, usually wins, regardless of truth. This is why you must never leave your actions to be defined by others. If you end a toxic relationship, frame it as self-respect rather than abandonment. If you make a ruthless decision, frame it as strategic foresight rather than cruelty. By controlling the story of your choices, you protect your reputation and build power. Those who ignore narrative control become victims of it, endlessly explaining themselves while others dictate how they are remembered. In the psychology of power, reality bends to interpretation, and the one who owns the interpretation owns the field. Influence is not just what you do, it is what people believe you did, and that belief is a weapon sharper than any sword. Systematic consequences create psychological authority, because people may argue with your words, dismiss your emotions, or ignore your requests, but they cannot argue with a system that delivers consistent results. Most people try to enforce respect through anger, threats, or guilt, which only makes them appear weak and reactive. The powerful, however, create invisible systems where respect leads to access and disrespect leads to exclusion, where loyalty is rewarded naturally and disloyalty quietly closes doors. Machiavelli warned that a ruler should rely only on what he can control, not on the whims of others. And this is exactly how you achieve psychological dominance. Instead of begging people to value your time, you simply become unavailable to those who waste it. Instead of pleading for better treatment, you withdraw benefits from those who disrespect you. No arguments, no warnings, just natural consequences. This approach removes emotion from the equation and creates an environment where people train themselves to treat you correctly, not because you demanded it, but because the cost of doing otherwise is too high. Over time, your presence becomes associated with privilege, and your absence becomes a punishment. That is psychological authority, silent but undeniable, shaping behavior without a single word. Silent dominance is ultimate power, because real strength is never loud. It is never desperate to be seen. It moves in silence and lets results speak for themselves. The ones who brag about how powerful they are, who constantly remind others of their toughness, are almost always the weakest, because true dominance does not need advertisement. It is felt the moment you enter a room. Machiavelli compared the lion and the fox, showing that cunning and force must be combined, but the most dangerous combination is when neither is visible until it is too late. Silent dominance means you observe while others argue, you calculate while others react, you position yourself while others waste energy proving themselves. You reveal little, yet you know much. You show nothing, yet your presence alters the environment. People begin to fear disrespecting you not because you threaten them, but because your composure and unpredictability make them uncertain of your response. They begin to respect you not because you demanded it, but because your restraint, your cold patience, and your ability to strike once with precision make you untouchable. Silent dominance is when others cannot read you, cannot predict you, and cannot control you. And when they cannot control you, they cannot defeat you. That is why the most powerful move is not the loud roar, but the quiet watchfulness that makes everyone wonder what you are capable of. The truth is brutal but liberating. The world does not reward fairness. It does not reward effort. It rewards influence, presence, and psychological dominance. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago, and his lessons are not outdated. They are more relevant now than ever. Fairness is a trap. Ruthlessness is discipline. Respect is worth more than likability. Decisive action defines your reputation. Perception shapes reality. Narrative control wins wars. Systems build authority, and silence carries the ultimate power. These are not abstract theories. They're the hidden rules that decide who commands and who obeys, who rises and who is forgotten. You have a choice: remain the naive one who hopes good intentions are enough, or become the strategist who bends the world through understanding its psychology. The game will continue whether you accept it or not. But if you step into this darker wisdom, if you embrace it with discipline instead of fear, you will no longer be manipulated. You will be the one directing the board. The weak cling to fairness. The powerful master perception, desire, and control. The question now is not whether the world is fair. It never was. The question is whether you are ready to stop playing fair and start playing to win.